Awesome. All right, so hi everyone. Thanks for joining the Add-ons team for the Add-ons community meeting on April 6, 2020. We're joined today by Sylvain, BJ, Jorge, and myself. We're going to kick this meeting off by acknowledging some friends of Add-ons. So I'd like to give community member Lisa Chan a special shout out. Last week, Lisa re-enabled the developer comment section for AMO listings. So this was a field that we used to have on the old AMO before we kind of had the big AMO refresh in 2017. And developer comments was one of the sections that we wanted to carry over, but unfortunately we just didn't have the bandwidth to do. So we put it into our contrib welcome issues in the hopes that one day a contributor might have the bandwidth and the interest of implementing it, or that we would be able to implement it, but our hands are usually pretty full with other priorities. So thanks so much, Lisa. This is a great section if you're the developer of an extension and you want to disclose known bugs or other transient announcements. So stuff that maybe you've currently have listed in the description of your extension, it's that long about this extension section. So if you have things like, oh yeah, this bug, we know that this is an issue because this API isn't implemented exactly the way we want to, or we keep running into problems. If you want to go ahead and move some of that information out into developer contents or comments, it might just be a little bit easier for your users to read and understand. So thanks for doing that, Lisa. It's always nice when we get to implement new features. So yeah, kudos to Lisa. So this week we just have a couple of announcements and then we'll have some time for discussion or sharing other stuff that's going on. So applications for the Google Summer of Code project, which is to build an extension activity monitor prototype that we can then maybe expand on and make a feature in Firefox. So applications for that were due last Tuesday. So there's going to be a couple of weeks of evaluating the proposals, and then interns will be announced on April 27th. So thanks everybody who kind of contributed and poked around our code and asked a lot of great questions and submitted proposals for those internship projects. Outreachy, which is another intern project that we're going to be running this year on AMO, those applications are going to be due tomorrow. So again, the same process will happen. We'll review the applicants. We've got a couple of proposals that we've suggested. It looks like right now we're only going to be running one of them, and that's going to be based on the applicant who we want to work with and their interest in which project they want to work on. So yeah, those are due at 4 p.m. UTC tomorrow. So that time may change depending on your region. Just a heads up to our outreachy applicants out there. And we've seen some really amazing contributions from the outreachy applicants this year. We've had a number of really strong candidates. So I just want to thank everybody for participating and, say congratulations. Open source, getting into open source is not easy for a lot of outreachy applicants. They're submitting their first PR to an open source project. So we're really excited and thrilled that they've kind of dipped their toes in the water, and we wish them a lot of success in the future. So Firefox 75 is going to be released on schedule tomorrow. Last week, Philip wrote a blog post about what's new with the Web Extensions API. We have a couple of things like being able to toggle the zoom, so you can choose how you want pages to like zoom in. So that's pretty exciting. And then we also had some redirect URL issues come up with extensions that need to communicate with an external application that uses, OAuth 2. So we've contacted those developers directly, and we've updated our documentation. So just a heads up, there's been a couple of changes there. Any questions about either the internship processes or Firefox 75?
I don't have a question, just a shout out to Shane regarding there's no more prompts for users when you move your permissions from required to optional. That's really great.
Yeah. I'm noting that down. Heck yeah, fewer prompts. Awesome. All right, so with COVID-19, we are noticing that everybody's under stress and things are definitely not normal anywhere across the globe right now. So when we send requests for more information from developers during review, we are now gonna bump that time that we suggest that they respond by. So right now we say, please respond within 7 days. Right now we would like to extend that to at least 14 days. Just in order to provide people a little bit more time to kind of look into issues and get back to us. So that's one of the things that we'd like to start doing. We checked the template and it doesn't, so the actual code template of that, of how like that request for more information gets sent out. Right now it looks like the 7 days is not hard coded. So we may need to do a little additional digging to toggle it to suggest 14 days as the default. I think right now it still might be suggesting 7 days. I don't know, Sylvain or BJ, if you've seen that recently.
Yeah, by default it's 7, but
okay.
you can change it as a reviewer.
Okay.
I don't think I'm allowed to change it.
Okay.
For me, in the past, it's been read-only.
Okay.
Are there automatic nag messages sent out to them?
There are no nag messages sent out to them. It's just that initial request that goes out. So
because I find if they don't reply within the first couple of days, they usually don't reply within 7. It just they tend to forget about it.
For the deadline, there's an additional email.
Oh, there's an additional email.
Okay, good.
Okay.
It's maybe also just the code reviewers that can change the 7 days.
Oh.
I can change it.
Okay. Okay.
Changing the default is probably something that we need to patch.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking too.
Totally, I'm trying to change it right now. It's a text box, but yeah, I cannot change it too. I thought I could.
I think it's only admins can change it at the moment.
Okay.
But as Caitlin said, we're planning to change the default to 14, so you actually don't have to do anything.
Okay.
Of course, I don't know what happens if I change it from being read-only on my system and do a submit after I modify it.
It's very likely to complain that the request you sent wasn't valid because every field is being validated on the server.
Good.
Excellent. Okay, so
let's not try to break things.
Aw, Jorge. Okay, so we'll file a bug to change the default to 14 days. So Andreas, you were saying that a nag email goes out at a week, at 7 days?
It goes out 1 day before the deadline is reached. So if we change it to 14 days, it will be, the nag mail will be sent on the 13th day.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. Okay, so so we're gonna submit that change. We're gonna make a blog post to inform our developer community that we're gonna start doing this. I think on the other side, like, so that's our developer facing side. I think on our internal side, I think we also have an expectation that we're not going to be able to get to things at the same time with the same sense of urgency that we have in the past. Maybe sense of urgency isn't the right word, but like, I think we also want to be understanding of the fact that people are getting pulled in many different directions right now on the review side. And so we want to be accommodating of that too. And I think that's also one of the reasons why we're extending the deadline, is because like, we might have lowered capacity of being able to review things from what we've seen in the past. Okay, so that's one of the things that we're going to be, so that's pretty much everything that we had to say about review times in COVID-19. I think in general, we've seen some requests from people about we've heard some questions from people about what we're doing to monitor for misinformation in the COVID-19 extensions that get listed on AMO. Right now, we took a look at them, and most of them kind of fall into like 3 categories. There's extensions that kind of show dashboards of statistics based on like certain regions or based on like the global information provided by the World Health Organization. So we've seen those extensions. We've seen extensions that kind of set reminders for people to practice good hygiene, like timers that tell you to wash your hands every 60 minutes, or things that will provide, things that'll kind of like pop up and show advice from the World Health Organization about like how to protect yourself against the coronavirus. And then kind of the third set of extensions that we've seen pop up are things that will do things like hide excessive mentions of COVID-19, or help you filter your media intake, or kind of like hide that information so that you don't get totally overwhelmed with information and like accidentally set yourself into a panic attack. So we haven't really seen a lot of people who are like peddling, we haven't really seen a lot of like malicious activity, or like things that are requiring users to pay for some sort of like snake oil product. But I do want to encourage everybody to keep your eyes open for that. And if you see something that looks a little sketchy, if you could let us know so we could investigate, that would be great. We're not planning on making any other changes to our policies to our general policies for the COVID-19 extensions. But if we see something that looks like it might be deceptive to users or somehow malicious to users in other ways, we'd like to know about it and investigate so we can deal with it kind of on a one-on-one basis.
One add-on said we're an official source for Belgium, and so I asked them a couple questions just to make sense to see where they were getting the information.
Yeah.
And they seem legit, so I let it go. But
that's totally fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. We're also not. We don't want to police like people who are doing legitimate partnerships versus like just on your own, if that makes sense. Like if they're working with Belgium, that's great. If they're a guy in a basement in they're a guy in a basement in France who's like, yeah, I'm hacking this together using, this database, this data set or whatever that's publicly available. Like that's fine too. Yeah. Yeah, but that's good. But thanks for checking that out. Yeah, we've seen a couple of folks. One of our community members, Andre, I saw his extension. I think he's partnering with authorities in Romania, and so for his stat tracker. So nice to see the community getting involved. Okay, any other questions about kind of like COVID-19 and add-ons in general, like the ecosystem? Okay, cool. Wash your hands. That's all keep washing your hands. Okay, the next one is just kind of a general announcement. The Firefox platform team made an announcement, I think 2 weeks ago, with an intent to unship the FTP protocol. So that's the file transfer protocol. So this one is going to be a little nuanced. So FTP has been considered to be like kind of an older code base, hard to manage, partly because it's old and partly because it's insecure, and there's a lot of security bugs that come in there. So Chrome has already made the move to deprecate it, or Chrome has also announced that they're planning on deprecating FTP. So we're following suit with Chrome here. But we don't want to cause any severe breakages for companies like healthcare or government services that rely on some of these browser features that we're considering deprecating. So what's going to happen with the FTP removal is that the code is going to, the change that removes the code is going to advance into Nightly this week. So Nightly 77 gets merged in this week. So expect to see FTP removed from nightly this week, but it's going to remain on nightly until at least Firefox 79. So we're not going to advance it on the trains until for at least 2 release cycles. And at that point, we're going to take a look and see if, if situations with the pandemic continue to be like they are, where everybody's life is extremely disrupted, and there's no bandwidth to, make changes to address the removal of some features, it will continue to remain on nightly, or, we will have a chance to evaluate whether or not it moves forward on the trains and goes through beta and then eventually release. So we're going to be messaging extension developers who use the FTP protocol to give them a heads up and let them know about the timing. We've also got some suggestions for how you can we've also got some suggestions for how you can wrap any features that use FTP to check to see if FTP is enabled. So if FTP gets removed, and you're not totally on top of it, your extension will run the check and then just hide the features that have broken on it. We're also asking extension developers to let us know of any other breakages or pain points kind of while this change is on nightly, so that we can take a look and offer mitigations before this starts moving again on the trains. Any questions about FTP? Okay, cool. So those were the big announcements that I had this week. I'm going to turn it over to Jorge and Andreas to ask if there's anything y'all would like to share.
So there was a meeting. So I guess a quick update on add-ons planning. We're still making some adjustments this week because there have been some changes in priority for a couple of minor things. The plan remains pretty much what I've shared before, but yeah, we're going to make some small changes, probably only on the AMO side. But still, our biggest priorities continue to be the new iteration of the block list and some UX improvements related to host permissions on the Firefox side.
Cool.
Hello, everyone. I kind of joined super late because I had another meeting run over, but I thought I'd pop in and see if there was anything that I could contribute.
Hey, Shane. We just shared the update about FTP removal. You got a shout out for removing prompts for users when moving permissions from required to optional, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so if there's anything else exciting in the web extensions future unrelated to FTP, yeah, we'd love to hear it.
I guess it depends on one's definition of exciting. I guess, you know, it's for some, for those community members who are using much of the web request stuff, as we've been working on kind of the fission changes and a lot of other changes, there's been a touch of problems that have crept up in the last couple of releases and that I've been working on fixing. So if you're filtering data through web request and you have issues or something like that, if you are not already contributing on the bugs around that and you want to ask questions or anything, to feel free to reach out to me around that. It's not just fission changes, that's one of the avenues that cause some issues.
we'll just call this
Web request issues.
issues with web. Yeah, so yeah, just a quick summary of what happened. What we kind of noticed there was there were some underlying issues about like multiple filters per operations, kind of making things go a little janky. So Shane's been working on kind of making a fix to that that doesn't impact how the API works. So hopefully we can get, hopefully that patch fixes some of those underlying problems and doesn't cause people to have to go in and take a look at, or have to update their extension. But that might be coming up. Andreas, is there anything you'd like to add this week?
No, I don't have any updates this week.
Okay. Andreas, what's the background that you're using for your Zoom call?
I think it is the Vancouver Museum. I'm not entirely sure. I think it is from Vancouver.
I quite like it, and I quite like Shane's background too. Look, if we're gonna be, if we're gonna go through this self-isolation, we might as well give ourselves nice backgrounds. Cool. Okay, so just one last comment. Scott and I are working on kind of like consolidating and summarizing some of the research we've been doing on add-on monetization, both what we've heard from users and what we've heard from a few developers so far. I think we're still doing a couple one-off developer interviews with some folks who are interested in contributing to that. Once we kind of have this summarized a little bit more, and we've kind of filtered out some of the more confidential information, the plan is to share some of what we've learned with the broader community. So I'm going to be working on that for the next 2 weeks. So hopefully we'll have some key takeaway points to share at our next community meeting. Cool. Is there anything? So at this time, I'd like to open up the floor for anything else. So is there anything that anyone would like to share, or any other questions that folks would like to ask?
As a content reviewer, it's really nice to have the links in the emails work now. It was a nice improvement for me.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, BJ. Yeah, thanks for your patience with that. I know Matt spent some time untangling some stuff around permissions and links, and it sounded like there was quite a lot to untangle there. Okay, cool. Well, everyone, please stay safe, stay healthy, practice good hygiene. Let us know if you need anything or if there's anything we can do to help out. And just take care of yourselves. And we'll see you around the web.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.